JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. May 6th, 8:56 a.m. on this fine Tuesday. Talk quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P futures, just like yesterday, to the downside. I think yesterday we were about 0.75%. Today, right around the same, about 0.77% to the downside. No major news or catalysts. Like it just feels um, like it's like the market's tired of the happy trade deal comments, right? Oh yeah, we're working on deals. I think it's the time either for a pause with China or there's got to be some deals this week. Otherwise, yeah, hopefully I'm a half glass full kind of person, so hopefully that's not the case. But that's what it feels like today. And then tomorrow, we got to hope Fed Chair Powell can spin things just a tad dovish. It's pretty much 100% guarantee, no rate cut. So he's got to be able to kind of spin that, and then maybe that kind of finds support for the market. But we were on an epic 9-day rally, which ended yesterday, and we're still above the 50-day moving average on the SPY. So just want to see that hold today, 555 consolidation, and then maybe we get some good news towards the end of the week, and that maybe can spark a rally back up over that 200-day moving average, first time since March. Um, Also of note, yesterday's action, the S&P had its lowest volume day since late January, February. I was just looking up at the data. I don't know how many days in January. The average volume was like 2.6 billion shares traded. Yesterday was 2.7 billion shares traded. You can look at it both ways, right? If we consolidated on high volume, that's a good thing, but also on low volume. I mean, no, there's no panic. There was no, folks. It just, to me, that just means we're kind of consolidating. So hopefully today we get choppy action again. Yesterday, good signs too. The markets open lower, started to find a support, almost went red to green by 2 o'clock. The Dow actually went to the green, and then we reversed at the end of the day. So hopefully markets find some footing. Also, you have those rumblings, right? So now this week, a couple weeks ago was China and Japan, or who knew was selling U.S. Treasuries. Then it's the U.S. dollar getting talked about as possibly losing reserve status, and then this week now it's Taiwan, right? But Taiwan supposedly, I think they hold like $700 billion worth of U.S. Treasuries, but there was talks that part of the trade deal the U.S. wants with Taiwan is that they have to get their currency to I guess go substantially higher, what have you. But it had its biggest move, 5% in the like 20 years. So all those headlines will keep popping up until deals happen, right? And one of these headlines might not be good for markets. So just hopefully you can find some footing. So 555 on the SPY, just need to hold that. If we do break under 555 on the SPY, I might look to get some SQQQ calls, just as it's provided a great hedge. And not only that, it allows to get call positions, right? Because sometimes at the bottoms, it seems like the bottom's not in and we could tumble. But if you get those calls, it allows you to play some bounces. So that's kind of the overall market there. Again, tomorrow's the Fed meeting. ISM data came out yesterday, better than expectations. So you take a look, and this is a slide from, I think it was from MarketWatch. I'll post it here in the room. But just a correlation between soft data surprises and hard data. And it's like the soft data is leading and hard data is a lagging indicator. So who knows? There's not a big sample size, right? You would want to see like 10 years worth of data, not 1 year worth of data. But hey, I mean, that's what we got. So that's ISM data. This morning, the U.S. imports export data came out and substantially higher than expectations for U.S. imports. I mean, obviously front loading. So it's the only concern would be that you worry that if we're borrowing from the future, right? If economic data is weaker in the coming months, but if imports are accelerating this month, you have to think GDP. We've already seen the negative impact. It's going to have the reverse impact as imports decline. So also, the GDP now for Atlanta Fed came out 1.1% positive, so much better than last quarter when it was showing negative 2.8%. I think it went as low as negative 4%. So just little glimmers of hope. Last but not least, the amount of stocks trading over their 200-day moving average on the S&P still up there, still trending in the right direction. All right, so now just the individual names. And yesterday was one of those days where it's kind of like sitting on your hands, unless you found we're able to time some moves, which is not my forte most times. But yesterday was kind of a good day to sit on my hands. I was looking at Reddit all morning. I almost grabbed some 130s. Maybe today's the day I'll look to revisit, but thankfully sat on my hands there. I did add deck calls, right? So you had the news that Skechers getting taken private. All these names, especially in the footwear sector, have been destroyed on China worries. it's like deck is a headline away from being over 130s and if not higher. So add some spec calls. I was actually looking at the 125s. Thankfully, didn't add those. Just wanted a small spec size position, and I still like it here. It's gapping lower here this morning. It was over 120 into the afternoon before the late session pull. Not sure I'll add any more just yet, but similar. They all have kind of the same themes. The deck, the RH, and the Wayfair all kind of need like some positive developments, which I think is going to happen soon. Especially if the market melts a little bit or the Fed kind of hiccups tomorrow. I think it kind of like expedites things. Same with that negative GDP number last week. It's the same kind of scenario. So that's deck. And then here's Reddit, the 250-day moving average right there. 117 is the 200, 119, 63 is the 50. At some point, this is going to have like a post-earnings smash up. I thought it was going to be Friday. Then I thought it was going to be yesterday. And here it is again. It's down at 113.75. So pretty much where it was Monday morning before that upgrade. At some point, it's going to have a reversal. So definitely watching this with a close eye. If it shows some signs, maybe if it gets back over 115, I'll look for some spec lottos. Other names. So disappointed yesterday. If I did do any trades, I should have got the PM calls. That's like a slow and steady. Just I don't think it matters if we're in recession. I don't think it matters if there's trade deals. I think it's just going to head higher. So you take a look, all-time high break, and I think then it trades up near 180. So I was looking at 175s. They were up 60% yesterday in the afternoon once it started to move. I'll look probably for next week 180s. I was looking yesterday. Those I think offer a decent risk rewards setup. Even if it doesn't get to 180 next week, if it gets into above 175 and then maybe 178 by next week, I think those will be at least a double, if not higher. Then disappointing, right? The Wayfairs, the Restoration Hardware. RH had a downgrade, or at least a price target reduction from Goldman Spectacular yesterday. They kept their neutral rating. I don't know if that's some of the weakness. RH was actually holding up somewhat, and then it just got pummeled into the afternoon. Still like these named, the Wayfairs and RH on a headline, right? And thankful or lucky to close some of those out, so I'm riding free. So I'll continue to hold those. Nothing really to update here on VKTX and GPCR. They both closed green yesterday, fractionally. VKTX is under 29 here in the pre-market. Still looking to get the rest of my May strikes out on both those and add later dated calls. Same with GPCR. I think both will trade up into the 30s in the coming weeks. Then other names. So Upwork reported a monster beat and raise yesterday after the close. Similar gig economy, right? And Fiverr is one of my OGs, right? I love Fiverr. Just haven't traded recently because sometimes it seems like people don't believe in the story. They report earnings overnight, so I might look for some spec calls. I was looking at 30 strikes. It look interesting on a risk reward basis, but I have PTSD holding Fiverr calls till expiration because I tried to trade earnings. So I don't know if I'll look to get them or maybe I'll trade them tomorrow morning. But definitely one I'll be watching. Good sign that Upwork is rallying here. It might be a trade here to get some Fiverr calls at the open on sympathy move because it's not up much here in the pre-market considering the Upwork beat and raise. And then maybe it rallies, get some premium build, cover the 30s to cover costs, and then ride the rest into earnings. So that might be a play today. Lemonade, another one of my favorite names. It's right there. It's the 30-day moving average, 31.63. They reported a beat and raise this morning. Huge short interest. It's just it's like a powder keg. So if it breaks and holds 33 in the morning, I might just look for some spec lottos just because it's been such a monster over the last 12 months. I mean, how many times? A couple times I've done some 10, 15 baggers just on the call. So trades like that can make your week, month. Makes sense to look at a name that has offered that in the past, right? One of the best indicators of future performance is past performance. It's had a history of these squeezes, and there's so many folks in there who I think just don't believe in the story. So, and then you have the flip side. There's a lot of folks who think this is a $100, $200, $300 stock going down the line, similar to PLTR. So don't be surprised if I had some spec lottos on that. Just a small risk, right? I'm not going to go into money. I'm not going to go close. I'll probably maybe some 38s, 40s, depending on what those look like. And then Win reports earnings. I think it's after the close today. Another name, I think it's just on the cusp. You also have the Houston Rocket owner. He upped his stake above the threshold, right? So if you own a casino stock, you have to have a casino license. So I don't know what that all looks like, but I think it's bullish. And look, it's right at its 50-day moving average, 81.99. It closed over that yesterday. And I think MGM and LVS had some good earnings. So don't be surprised if I add some specs on that one. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.